Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Adrian Freighter. Because of the significant gulf between the words holy and hell, especially from a biblical perspective, those two words are unlikely to be found side by side in a sentence very often. However, in the case of 85-year-old church deacon Ewin James York of Ulster Spring in southern Trelawny, it was a situation of holy hell for him when he fell in a 200 feet deep sinkhole while taking a shortcut to visit a friend, and remained trapped underground for 2 days before he was miraculously rescued. While he probably would not want to equate himself with Christ, who was buried for 3 days before he was raised from the dead, York must have been thinking about biblical stories such as Daniel being cast into the lion's den and Jonah being in the belly of the whale before he was vomited out, as he pondered about whether or not he would be able to get out of his situation alive. In this edition of Lest You Forget, I will be revisiting the story of Ewin James York, whose faith was severely tested as he lay trapped underground between two rocks, harboring the belief that God would send someone to rescue him. The story I wrote about the incident, which was published in the Gleaner on September 5, 2006, under the headline, Saved from Holy Hell, read as follows. As a deacon, 85-year-old Ewin James York has on several occasions told the miraculous biblical stories of Daniel in the lion's den and Shadrach, Meshach, and Abednego in the fiery furnace. What he did not know was that one day he would be telling his own story about his own miraculous rescue. However, after falling into a 200-foot sinkhole and being trapped underground between Saturday evening and early Monday morning, Mr. York of Ulster Spring, Trelawny, now has more than enough reasons to be thankful to God after being rescued from what could well have turned out to be his final resting place. It all began on Saturday shortly after 6 p.m. when the senior citizen, on his way to visit a friend, decided to take a shortcut through some bushes. He took a wrong turn in the twilight and fell feet first into the hole, which was situated along the path he had taken. Trapped between two rocks in the dark underground, he cried out for help, but nobody heard him. During the night, rain fell and wet me, but I never lost hope and kept praying to God to send someone to rescue me, said Mr. York, who is a deacon at the United Pentecostal Church in Ulster Spring. On the second night, when I heard the thunder rolling, I began praying again, because I realized that if the rain fall heavy, I could be washed away. Thank God it never rained heavily. On Sunday, when York, who lived alone, did not show up at church as is customary, his children, who live elsewhere in the community, went to his house to search for him. Not finding him, they immediately raised an alarm and launched a manhunt with residents. On Sunday afternoon, a woman believed to be of unsound mind told the search party that she had seen Mr. York walking through the shortcut and told them that there was a sinkhole in the area. The search party went to the hole and called out Mr. York's name, but their search was fruitless. We went back to the hole on Monday morning and started calling his name again, said Mr. York's son Michael. This time, when we called his name, we heard a sound coming back from deep into the ground. Realizing that Mr. York was trapped on the ground, the residents first dropped a 100-foot rope into the hole, while a few brave young men were tied with rope and lowered in. But finding the slippery rocks inside too treacherous, they asked that the fire brigade, located 28 miles away in Falmouth, be summoned. We got the call at 7:55 a.m. and when we got there, 3 young men were down in the hole and we provided them with the ropes, said Deputy Superintendent Franklin Smith of the Trelawny Fire Brigade. After about 45 minutes, we finally got him out of the hole. When the cleaner visited the community, Residents were all singing the praise of the three young men who asked to be identified only as Bones, Kim, and Gilbert, who they said braved the dark underground to save Mr. York. When we got down there, about 200 feet in the hole, and found him, we tried to calm him down first, said Bones. We then tie him with the rope and gradually ease him out, and then they pull us up out of the hole, one after the other. Mr. York, who residents said appeared somewhat dazed and dehydrated, was rushed to the Falmouth Hospital, where a medical examination revealed severe bruising all over his body, but no broken bones. He was admitted for observation. God is good, and I know that, so I never lost faith during the time I was down there, Mr. York told the Gleaner from his hospital bed. God is good, and his mercy endured forever. It has been some 17 years since that incident involving Mr. York, who has since gone on to meet his maker. However, his story remains one of those unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica. Unforgettable stories out of Western Jamaica from the scrapbooks of Adrian Freighter. Before you go, please remember to subscribe.